So where are you out of?
I live in Venice, in Los Angeles.
Oh, nice, man. I live in Studio City.
Oh, okay. We're neighbors.
Yeah, man. I love Venice.
It's great.
So funny when you go to each city in LA. People don't know this, but they literally change. The minute you're in Venice, you're in Venice. The minute you're in Van Nuys, you're in Van Nuys. The minute you're in Studio City, you're in Studio City. It doesn't fade gradually. It becomes
it's abrupt.
It's so true. I love that. I think it's
I do too. The minute you hit Manhattan Beach, you're like, oh, I'm in Manhattan Beach.
And I still meet people who are like, oh, California, there's no culture. Los Angeles, there's no. I'm like, dude, there's a culture down every street.
On every block.
Every street, bro. I don't know if you know this, but I'm eating mangoes cut by a strange dude with a wooden cart with absolutely no health code restriction. And I trust him. He's been out on this street for 9 hours. Where do you think he went to the bathroom? Do I even care? Do I even care? Cut those mangoes. I don't give a fuck if there's COVID. With extra tahini.
Just give me the tahini.
Give me the tahini, the mango, and the watermelon, and slice it with your hands.
Oh my goodness!
People trip out when I say that. They don't know. Like when they come to California, they trip out when they see those fruit. What are they called? Stands.
Yeah.
Fruit carts. They're like, dude, and it's beautiful.
They don't trip out when they see them. They trip out when we stop for them. Like
we're
like, oh, yeah. I'm getting fruit right there.
More lemon, please. More lemon, please. More lemon.
And they're fucking delicious. They're
delicious. My god!
The best. Look at us bonding over California.
I keep saying this to people. People love to shit on California. They really do.
And it's weird.
I get their back all the time.
I'm with you. It's very strange because I mean, I guess I'm preaching to the choir, but it doesn't get more beautiful. There's so much. There's so much. And everywhere that they use as it's better than California has so little. Like it's like so obnoxious to make that reference. It's absolutely asinine when people are like, yeah, Texas, fuck California. I'm like, Texas.
You know what I think it is, man? I think they're so damn jealous.
Yeah.
That they have to shit on California.
They do.
And then they brag about the city they come from. And I'm like, bro, didn't you just go through what's it called? What is it called when it's so much snow?
A blizzard.
A blizzard.
Didn't you just go through a blizzard? Didn't you have to shovel a bus out of a hill?
By the way, where else can you be at the ocean, the mountains, and a downtown homeless encampment in one day?
And that's culture.
That is culture.
The Lord lifts you up because you see beautiful views, you see vistas. You're like, I made it, and then you cross the street, and you're like, oh no, the real life.
Real life is still here.
you gotta be careful. I could be right there in a week, bro.
I could be there in a week, exactly.
Oh my god, man! So like, that's why I'm just gonna say this out loud. I'm probably gonna lose a sponsorship deal because of this. You ready?
Oh no.
That's the reason why I don't eat Dunkin' Donuts.
What?
Wait, what?
I'm not even joking. I got Dunkin' Donuts for the simple fact that every New Yorker or anywhere from the East Coast always shits.
Oh, yeah.
They always go, oh, well, it's Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts has the best coffee. Dunkin' Donuts. I stopped. The minute Dunkin' Donuts started coming to the West Coast, I was like, I'm not eating those goddamn donuts.
If you want to piss people off that love that talk about Dunkin' Donuts from the East Coast, tell them Tim Hortons is better. Take it out of America, straight to Canada.
I love Tim Hortons.
Shit. Tim Hortons is amazing.
I love Tim Hortons.
It's amazing.
This is so funny. People have these references are so vague. Like they have no idea what we're talking about right now. People are listening to this pod going, what?
Did the podcast win? Because if it did, this is going to be the most niche podcast we've ever got. The Venn diagram.
You're right. But they're also going to be like, I need to try some Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons is outstanding. And then here in LA, there's a place called DK's. Have you had them?
Where's that at, bro?
Let me see where that's at, because I basically discovered it during the pandemic. DK's Donuts. So I
discovered it during the pandemic. Like he went, like he had like a Hummer truck.
I mean, I didn't.
hunting donuts.
I never visited, so I don't know.
I discovered it during my pandemic voyage.
In his hazmat suit.
Yeah, with a hazmat suit.
That's funny. There it is. DK's Donuts. Welcome to Donut Heaven. Serving California since 1983.
Wow.
Crazy that you just discovered it and it's been around since 1983.
It's been around literally since I was born. It is. Where is it? Where do you find it? Online store? Contact us. I don't know where it is. Just DK's Donuts. It is so Santa Monica.
Okay, I gotta go. I'm a donut fanatic, man.
You will lose your shit over their donuts. I honestly have not had better donuts. Unless Dunkin' Donuts is a sponsor, they trumpet. But I mean, but the DK's is a close second.
Glory to God. Okay, so this room that you're in, we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm getting this is the most I'm getting a text from somebody, and I'm talking on text while I'm talking to you, and I think this is something we should talk about right now.
Let's go.
Like right off the bat, okay? Because I wouldn't have thought of this until I actually did it, and how annoying it is when people do it to me. When people text other people outside of the group that you're in, not only is it like rude and disrespectful, but let me tell you what that is, because people don't really understand what texting is when you're with us. So like, here's my group of people. I'm talking to you three right now, and now I'm having this side conversation texting. All right, so this is what it's like. So for people that get mad when you go, oh, what? I was just throwing a text. I'm sorry. Well, let me tell you what a text is. A text is basically if you were in a booth, right, and you were having a nice dinner with a friend, right? Yeah. And all of a sudden, your friend starts texting. You know what that's like? That's like someone just going into the booth with you that wasn't invited and whispers in that person's ear. Right? Like whispers some fucked up shit, maybe about you.
Yeah.
Whispers some stuff. And then that person you whisper to it that's in the booth starts laughing. Like and then that person leaves the booth.
Yeah.
That's what texting is when you're in a group.
I love that you roasted yourself. Like none of us had any problem.
We didn't even catch it.
We didn't even catch it. And Jo Koy's like, you know what sucks about me?
You didn't catch it at all?
No, you're a professional. You mastered the art.
I guess I am. But it's extremely rude. And I apologize.
No, we didn't pick up on it. I think you're a father, so I guess you've mastered the art of multitasking to such a degree that we feel like, as your children, we feel safe and in good arms.
I have a question. To what degree can either of you text and listen at the same time? Because that's my pet peeve. Is if I'm talking, I'm okay with you texting, but you still got to listen.
Yes, you still got to listen. I hate it when they answer at the end of they just wait for whatever you're saying and just reply with something. Yeah. Because they're still texting. Yeah. I hate that.
It's a canned response.
I had a conversation recently with a friend. We were going back and forth by voice note. And he replies to me and he goes, like I heard your voice note. I sent him like a 3-minute reply to explain something. And he's like, I knew everything you were saying up until 2 minutes. And he's like, I wish there was a way that while you're listening to a voice note, you would be able to reply like as you're listening to the voice note. I was like, you mean a fucking phone call? Because that's that's a phone call.
Hilarious.
We can do that. He's like, oh shit.
Funny. I don't mind. Okay, look, if you're gonna do a canned response, I don't mind if you go like this. I don't mind that. That obviously you're not paying attention, but you're at least acknowledging that you noticed that person that was talking to you has stopped their sentence. This is what I hate. When they just fucking throw out like a sentence that doesn't belong. I'm like, ain't that the truth? Ain't what the truth? I asked you if you wanted to go get something to eat.
That is so true.
They're like,
the truth.
They're like, you're right. Salami is gross. You're like, what the fuck? I was talking about?
I'm not even talking about deli meats. I'm so happy you're on, man.
I am, by the way, I don't know if you remember, we met in Just for Laughs a few years ago in Montreal. And I've been a huge fan of yours ever since. Because I had already known of you, but then I got to know you as a person. Very briefly, we did a morning TV show together.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. It was me, you, Brad Williams, and somebody else.
I remember that, man.
And you were so fucking awesome as a human being. I was like, oh, dude, I love this guy. So it's when they told me, are you, Jo Koy is saying, do you want to do the podcast? I was like, let's go. When? Where? I'm ready. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. You're awesome. You're a phenomenal talent in a stand-up comic. Not that you need to hear that, you know it. And it's fucking great. I'm Lebanese, so as an ethnic stand-up comic, somebody who usually people associate with not just being American, it's been a joy to watch you. I'll put it that way.
Thank you, man. Tell everyone how to pronounce it, because it's
NEMR. I tell people it's NEMR. So my full name is NEMR Abu Nassar, which means in English, NEMR means tiger. And Abu Nassar means father of the victorious. So when people ask me, like, why is the Middle East so divided? I'm like, we got names like Tiger, father of the victorious. Some war going on.
Yeah.
So here I just tell people NEMR like simmer, but hotter. That's how I get people to remember.
I love the fact that we can have a name where it actually has a definition. NEMR, the tiger. Joe. The
Baptist, Joseph, the father of Christ. Yusuf.
Yeah. Hey, man, sure.
Don't you have your son's right behind you?
Yeah. Oh, that. Are you talking about that?
Yeah. That's Joe.
Hey, man, let's talk about immigrant parents while we're at it.
Let's do it.
Filipinos are extremely proud of Jesus Christ, to the point that they buy all of the Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, oh my God.
Now I see what you got there, and I'm going to tell you that looks like a Lebanese Christian home. I'm Christian, and you will find that stuff everywhere the same. Very similar cultures. They have a lot of love.
Yeah, it's so fun. Well, I'm in my son's grandma's house right now. I'm not at home. I'm actually in Bakersfield, but I'll explain that later why. But yeah, so we're here at the grandma's house, and I'm in her Jesus Christ room. And I just want everyone to know that if you're Filipino, there's always a Jesus Christ room.
There is.
I don't feel like when I tell people this, they're like, oh, no, there's no way. Not ever.
Or is that more like with the grandparents' generation, or do you still see that with like new generations?
It's more of the grandparents generation. But I'm telling you, man, they got a baby Jesus in here. I'm gonna show you. Come with me. I'm going to show you baby Jesus.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Is that beautiful?
It is actually very beautiful.
It's very beautiful. I mean, I'm surrounded in Jesus, bro. But yeah, and if you go to my mom's house, it's the same thing. It's, it's everywhere. So, I mean,
oh wow! Full branding, it's perfect.
Anyways, like I was saying,
it's just all around you, man.
All around.
It's incredible.
The cool thing about this holy water, it was stolen from a church, so probably not so holy anymore.
This is amazing.
It's funny because we say these stories and we tell these stories on stage, and a lot of people, they some people are like, oh no, that you're lying. And it's like, no, I'm lying. And it's like, this is, you got to understand, like, through comedy, we get to tell our culture, right? Mm-hmm. And I always tell people I'm half Asian, but I took on my mom's culture so much because during the divorce, you struggle with identity. You know what I mean? Like, what am I? Am I white? Am I Filipino? What am I in this country? My dad's not here anymore. My mom and her family is raising me, so of course I gravitate towards that culture, and that's my ethnic background. I gravitate towards that. I hug it and I embrace it so much and I cherish it. And it's hard to explain the Jesus is all over the place. But then, I started thinking about the older I get, it's like you got to also put your head in their mindset. Like they came from a third world country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And struggle and opportunity. And, the thing that they think about a lot is where do we go after this? Right. So I need to make sure that religion is a big part of my life. I want to make sure that when I do leave, I have this. And I feel like that's, am I wrong for saying that? Do you understand what I'm saying, Ray?
No, I get it. Yeah.
This is my interpretation, by the way. I'm not, this isn't like the definition. This is my only interpretation, because why is it that my mom does it? Why is it that, my ex-wife's mom does it? Like, why every Filipino that has come from, that country, they do that. And I feel like, well, that's why, they're always thinking about making sure that they did good right here, because when we're not here anymore and move on to the next life, right? Am I right?
Making sure you're covered.
Yeah. If you grow up in America, I guess you don't see the struggle. You don't see the, that you don't. It's not as I don't know how to say it. Right?
I say there are certain cultures in America that do like our culture is like that, is very, very steeped in religion, and you'll catch a lot of Jesus at the house.
We got a lot of Jesus in our house.
but I get what you're saying, though. For sure.
It's like a state of where your environment is, and where you are financially in life. And it's like the struggles that you have to deal with in life. You embrace something like this, right? Because the world is a struggle, and you want to make sure that, hey, I did right when I was here. Make sure I make it to the next life. I hope I'm making sense, because I'm trying to justify this.
No, there's one thing you're forgetting as well. When our immigrant parents came here, right now it's like very common to have Asian restaurants, Filipinos everywhere, Lebanese people. You're going to find people.
Yes.
They were so scarce, and the meeting place was church.
Was the church. Yeah.
Yes.
So for them, that iconography that you see around you isn't just the love for Jesus, which obviously it's there, but it's also because it gave them everything, gave them the community, the home away from home. So for them, when they say, we find ourselves within Jesus, for them, it's more like, not only do we find our faith in Jesus, but we found our people in Jesus. We were able to connect. And that's why now I think you see it a lot less, because people are able to connect without having to go to the church and to the thing. It's kind of losing its place as the community builder.
Yeah. Well, I think also, Joe, it's a representation of faith, right? So
100%.
when you have nothing else, that's all you have to lean on.
And like Joe's saying, like when you're struggling that much, because they none of our parents came here affluent. Like they came with barely any money in their pocket. They worked 3 or 4 jobs. They remind us constantly, because they want to always make us feel like we're not doing a good enough job and we have it too easy. So for them, that struggle, that pain to get through it, it was the faith that got them through.
Absolutely.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So, and I also noticed that that's the common bond between a lot of us. Just like you said, Andre, it's within your culture as well.
Yeah.
When you and yours as well, NEMR. It's like when you come from a place of struggle and financial burden, you go to what you said, what's free, your faith, and let's make it right. So like, it's so funny when I try and explain this and people don't get it. I keep whispering because she's right there. She's right behind that curtain right there.
Walking on this podcast and throw some holy stolen water on you.
I'm going to be like, wow, besides the topic, I let you use the rule of Christ. That's what you use it for? Jokes? I'm going to pray for your.
By the way, her criticism would be spot on. Oh God,
I can't. Anyways, yeah, with you as well, right, Nimmer? Like, the immigrant parents coming to, where they come to when they came here? Was it?
We San Diego. We left so I left Lebanon with my family. I was a year and a half old in like 1985. We fled because of war, came here. And then in 1991 or 2, my parents took me back to Beirut, where they said it would be safe.
Wow. Wow. And that was what year? Because I remember when growing up, Bangkok was the most unsafe place.
Yeah. And no. This is what's fascinating to me about immigrant parents. They come to America, right? And they go to buy cucumbers from the supermarket. And then they see that the cucumbers here, like each cucumber is almost what you would pay for a kilo or a pound and a half, 2 pounds of cucumbers back home. And that becomes their obsession.
Wow.
They're like, here in America, each cucumber is $1, but for $1 you buy 10 cucumbers. And they keep repeating it until they make it back to,
and they go back.
And when they're there, they gaslight you for years. They're just, there was an explosion, there were wars, we had to stay in, we were getting shelled. And they're like, but have you tried the cucumber? Like, dude, what are you talking about? And you start to believe it. I was there from 1992 to 2014. When I came to the US, I had this whole different version of the fruits are going to be terrible. People are all going to be horrible and racist, and this whole vision. And then I came here, I'm like, it's fucking great here. What the fuck were because I was 9 when I left, so I didn't have a proper recollection of it. And my parents were all because they're immigrants, if they fail, it's not on them. It's extraneous circumstance. Because we are the Arabs, they don't want it. I'm like, you didn't apply. You didn't apply here for your taxes. That's why the IRS.
It has nothing to do with you being Arab.
And they are taking the money. No, it's not.
You better stop.
It's always been an adventure with them. And I think that when it comes to faith and stuff, it's so much of if you go to the Philippines or with Black culture or with Arab culture, it's all the same. Faith is a big part of it. It's not something you do. It's something you define yourself by. Yeah. And whenever you go to regions that are war torn, it becomes even more, because then it's they're fighting for that shit. And it actually gets skewed. You'll have Christian people putting a picture of St. Mary on their machine gun going to war. And it's there's a fundamental misunderstanding.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But they get so attached to it that it becomes a part of their identity. When they come here, it's funny. You'll meet Arabs that have been here since the war, and then meet Lebanese people. So if I'm just going to speak about Lebanese, but it goes across all Arabs, and then you meet Lebanese people in Lebanon, you can almost not know they're the same people.
Yeah.
I'll meet Lebanese people here who it looked like time froze in 1975 for them. Yeah. They're still living out conflicts, Muslim, Christian, weird. They say weird stuff to you, and you're like, what? The music they listen to, we don't even listen. So you go to Lebanon, and it's this super ultra progressive place where everybody's getting along, and interfaith marriage, and Muslims and Christians, and everybody's happy. Yeah. And then you come here and you meet people who are like, I am Roman Catholic. That person is Maronite. You will not talk fuck.
Yeah. Why are you doing that? They're not even doing that there.
That's interesting. So they're kind of got locked into the last memory they have of Lebanon. So
because they became so afraid of losing their culture and their identity that they basically everything at that moment in time. Yeah. They basically did a what is it called? Time space, whatever on Mac when you do a backup.
Time machine.
Time machine. They did a time machine backup, and they constantly reload that same backup. And they teach their kids the same kind of hate that they had and the same kind of love. So,
that's interesting that you say that, though, man, because there are segments of American culture who do the same thing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that's not it's not far fetched to think about that. People lock in on those traditional hatreds and conflicts that they've had, and they stick to them.
I think for the simple fact that they think that that's their identity.
Right. Yeah.
They believe that if I describe this to you and this is the way we act, that's that's who we are. Unfortunately, no, that's not how you are anymore.
Yeah, things have changed. Things are moving. Yeah.
That's kind of what we're seeing right now.
That doesn't agree with that.
100%. That's what we're seeing in America right now. Because whenever you push somebody, so if I come and I push you, your resistance becomes your identity at that moment.
Yes.
So in that specific moment, if you see a specific person as the enemy to you, that becomes, unfortunately, your identity and not your achievements and your legacy. It becomes what you're fighting against, which is good and bad. Because sometimes, that's what united all Black culture across America, where you had people coming from all different places who were Black, but it was in their struggle that created a very powerful culture amongst everyone that was Black that they could. You know, and I mean, you're the authority on this. Obviously, I'm talking. I'm a lighter shade of brown. I'm Arab. I just blend in. I'm like, but you know,
that's that Venice sun.
That's it. This is we got that Mediterranean Lebanese people. We make good spies. Let's put that. That's the Black community. I can go into a white community if I cave. They'll trust me in the neighborhoods here.
Yeah,
they will. And I'll come back to the Black neighborhoods. I'll be like, you got to hear what this shit is crazy. And
it's crazy.
We will get it done. But yeah, and for Black people, it brought them together interestingly. For like white supremacists, it's brought them together in a very interesting way.
Yeah.
What people are perceiving as a threat to them is becoming their identity. And I think it's kind of weird that the human race is shifting in that as opposed to what we're achieving. It used to be like, you'd know America as the country that went to the moon. And now you're starting to know America as the country that, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Our division is defining us. It's fucked up.
It's the regression that causes the problem, because now you're fighting the progression, which has been fast paced.
Yes, sir.
And you've got these groups of people that are trying to hold on to traditional.
They think it's their identity. They think that if we go into a progressive direction, somehow that's going to remove them from the equation. And it doesn't mean that you're still part of the equation.
Right.
It's the formula become clearer now. We see it's become simplified. Instead of having too many variables, we're realizing there's much less variable and all of us are the same. There's just
absolutely.
Yeah. But it's hard to reason with hate. It's very hard to reason with hate. It's blinding. It's a passionate thing. Just like when somebody's in love, they get blinded. When somebody hates, it's the same emotion. They're blinded.
Yeah, man. 100%.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Really good. The hate is that thing where even when you know you're right, even when you know the other person is right, hate makes you go, nah, man.
Mm-hmm.
Nah.
Yeah.
I think I need to kill you.
Yeah. I'm gonna stab you. I'm sorry. And then go, I have Jesus behind me. I
don't have this, bro.
I mean, I like the guy. I can feel it. He would stop me. You know, so I'm just gonna stab you right there. Take care of it.
Exactly.
I have a
NEMR, you know what I do? I'm sorry to cut you off, man.
I don't.
You know what I do love about the generations that we live in now, especially like, you know, how my son is growing up. Like you said, back in the day, the churches where my mom found, or I talk about that in my book. It's so funny that you said that because, you know, we didn't have Facebook. We didn't have Instagram. We didn't have MySpace. We didn't have any of those things where you can bring a community together. My mom came to America and literally had to hunt Filipinos down. And a lot of her hunting took place in church. And I talk about the Knights of Columbus. Like every Sunday, the Knights of Columbus would rent out the hall and we'd have our little Filipino night where I would dance, my sister would sing, and then all these Filipinos would bring different dishes and we would all eat the food because there were no Filipino restaurants in Washington in 1983. So that was our community.
Yeah.
That was our bond. That was our identity. Whereas my son, if he wants to meet a Lebanese person, Snapchat.
Yeah.
That easy.
100%.
It's that easy. He can literally zone into Lebanon and just start. Next thing you know, he's got a relationship. Next thing you know, he knows about the culture. Next thing you know, they're friends. And that is the coolest thing that this generation is dealing with. And it's the weirdest thing for people like my mom and their generation to
understand, to grasp.
Don't grasp it.
Yeah.
Not understanding it.
And,
right?
and the problem with it's a beautiful thing, but you know what's missing from that? Moderation. So back in the church, you had a moderator, right? Like if it was the church or the mosque or whatever religious place, the synagogue where people would meet and connect with their culture. If somebody said something crazy, it wouldn't really proliferate because people would be like, no. Like, you know, the priest would step in, somebody would step in and be like, no, this politician is not eating children to feast on the blood of Satan. Sometimes you would have radical views that would get perpetuated, but for the most part, there was a term of moderation. Right now, if you're not that educated and cultured, you are very susceptible to believing some insane shit because it's so easily accessible.
Well said.
It worries me. We kind of
worry.
I really
it also worries me because that's so perfect what you said, right? Like, like when you we have Google now where you can learn whatever it is that you need to know. Any question that you have in your head, you can easily just Google it. And there's people that just choose to be ignorant, right? They just choose to just stay.
You can find on Google, if you search long enough, you will find your viewpoint.
Yeah.
Somewhere. No matter how radical and bizarre it is, you're going to find somebody out there. You're going to find a subreddit. You're going to find a forum. You're going to find an article.
Well, here's the other issue to your point is that if the three of us Google the same thing, like Lebanese people are, and that's all we leave, right? Yeah. That sentence in the search will end differently for the three of us because of the things that we've searched previously. True. So what ends up happening is people who already are leaning towards radical views, when they search that, they will get what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part.
That's the scary part. The algorithm is like, oh, you like radical shit. I got you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
History says, right?
The metric
was I hate tzatziki sauce. So here we go, bro.
It's a slippery slope from all the way to very slippery slope from tzatziki sauce to I hate tzatziki sauce to I hate Christians.
Yeah, got you.
Be very, but I mean, because we're in a capitalist society, which is amazing, but at the same time has the negative that when your prerogative and your objective is revenue from advertisements, you're not coming and saying, I want to sell you ads, but I want to see if I agree with you. No, it's just like, I want to sell you ads. You like hating on black people? Here's great content for you that you're going to enjoy with all these other black hating people.
Exactly.
You think Black Lives Matter? Great. Here's everybody that thinks Black Lives Matter. The echo chamber that it creates is great. If you're pro Black Lives Matter, you're getting most likely good information. You're getting a very unfiltered, unbiased information. But I mean, holy shit, it goes 180.
Yeah, for sure.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy shit that you see out there.
I've said this 1,000 times too. Like when I say ignorant, sometimes that's a compliment. When you choose to not Google or research or even just like have an open mind when it comes to learning about other cultures, or you just want to stick to whatever it is that you were taught growing up, you know what I mean, and just believing whatever it is that it was said in the media, you know what I mean, then you're an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, ignorance is just not knowing, and you have the ability to know. You can learn. I say it all the time. I'm ignorant. Like I would be lying, Andre, if I didn't in my earlier stand-up times, when someone was wearing a turban, immediately go to a Muslim type mindset and feel a threat.
And if they're wearing a turban, they're not even Muslim, they're Sikh.
No, you guys had to let me finish, and that's why you shouldn't walk on people. Because it wasn't until later that I found out that they were Sikh. And I had a friend that was Sikh. And not only that, there's also Christians that wear the turbans. So right back in asshole, I know what I'm talking about. No, but what I'm saying is, this is what I was trying to get at before NEMR stepped on me. What I'm saying is, when you grow up in your media, it just shows, and this is how ignorant I'm going to be right now. Beirut is bombing. Boom. Cut to the guy with
all you see
on the head. And I'm 14 and I'm like, oh. And that's all I learn. And then all of a sudden I'm going to remain and stay ignorant and not learn more about the turban and learn more about the person and learn more about the culture. And all I'm going to listen to is what ABC News showed me. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, but you can learn, like it wasn't like I met my friend, Sandeep. He had the turban, and then I was like, immediately I was like, oh, assalamu alaikum and all this, and he was like, yeah, he's like, I'm Christian, and I was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, but
what I'm trying to say is, there's people here that still think that.
Yeah.
There's people here that see a turban and immediately go to hate and just want to physically kill this person. Like what you did to our people. Like, what are you fucking talking about?
On 9/11. Yeah. Like for the Sikh community has suffered so much from 9/11, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Arab communities as well. and it was an attack from Afghanistan, which isn't even in the Middle East. I mean, when I have to explain to people that Afghanistan isn't Arab, and then you start to find out, if you really educate yourself and you realize that in Rambo, I think it was 2 or 3, the movie, the end of it was dedicated in the credits. This movie is dedicated to Osama bin Laden and the Mujahideen, the heroes of the thing, because they were an American ally. They were trained by the CIA to overthrow the Soviet Union. It's what happened afterwards that caused the radicalization.
Yeah.
It happens over and over again. Once you dive into it, you realize it's not so black and white, but it's easier to digest black and white. But there's also kind of an onus on, so as a Lebanese guy, right, who everybody thinks is constantly Muslim, which isn't a bad thing. I don't always refute it. I'm just like, I just go with the conversation regardless. But when they think I'm Muslim, they also think I'm a terrorist, which is where the problem is.
Yeah.
When I see this, I also do say to myself, have we done a good enough job, though, of reaching out as well? Like, we haven't really exported. You take a look at America. America's exported its culture beautifully. If you watch American cinema, it's very different than the reality in America, right? You wouldn't know there's racism because it's every movie, it starts out, there's one racist person in the town, and then at the end of the movie, they're transformed.
They're fixed.
Everything's great, and we meet at the soccer field and we have a moment, and then the music plays and everything's good. Mm-hmm. And they do that great version of, Friends as sitcoms, Frasier, they're blow up everywhere. People love that stuff. That's America. We don't have that coming from Lebanon to here, for instance. So when I meet people that are like, when I see somebody, I did a radio interview and somebody told me when I see someone with a beard, I get nervous. And I was like, honestly, I would too. I think you should. I don't think you should be comfortable. However, if you'd like to know why you shouldn't be nervous, I'm happy to tell you. But if I haven't told you yet, if you haven't searched for it, and just like you said, if you're being an idiot, which the America's employment loop doesn't allow you much time to not be an idiot. You wake up at 6 a.m, 5 a.m, rush your kids to school, hit work, grind. You come home, you're fucking exhausted. Put the kids to bed. What are you going to Google the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? Educate yourself at the end of the day. It's tough. So it's just, there needs to be kind of like a proactive. That's what I love doing with my stand-up. And that's what I love what you do with your stand-up, Joe. When you're going out and you're kind of like spreading your culture and because when you make people laugh, it humanizes everything about you and your culture and everything. And it's not threatening anymore. And if you can use it to give people perspective, whether you're trying to tell them that they don't have to use Tupperwares that they buy for $30, they can just use everyday Tupperwares, or if you're telling them life lessons, whatever it is, you're advancing the culture and normalizing it. And I think as a Lebanese person, that's why I film my specials in Beirut. Like my last 2 specials, I filmed them in Beirut in front of massive crowds. My last special, Love Isn't the Answer, I filmed in front of a crowd of 6,000. And people watch clips from it and they're like, that's Beirut? I always get that reaction. I thought that was LA or something.
It's so nuts, man, because I said this on a previous interview, but the reason why I shot my special in the Philippines is, one, I was supposed to do a third special, a third hour. And I found this opportunity to be like, hey, look, man, I want to show my country. I want to show the world what the Philippines is. Like, I talk about my mom all the time, but, to this day, I'm still the ambassador when it comes to Filipino food. You know what I mean? When people go, oh, you're Filipino, what do you guys eat? It's like, to this day, we're still doing that. Like, they still don't know that we speak fluent English. They still don't know that, we're heavy in the entertainment business, here in America alone. So how can I open that door just a little bit? And that's what I did. I went to the Philippines and shot that special. And when I did that, I get a phone call from Tommy Lee, the drummer from Motley Crue. Oh, sure. Right? We're friends, right? This guy's been in the business for how long? Since 1982, 83? Yeah. The first thing he says to me is, we've never been to the Philippines. And my mind is blown. And I was like, what? You've been to every other country but the Philippines? Like, why haven't you guys gone to the Philippines? We didn't know if they spoke English or even knew us. I'm like, and that's, to me, is what that special was all about.
Yeah.
That how, and it's not Tommy's fault. It's like, duh, he's not supposed to know. He's not, but to not know that, and the world still doesn't know that. It's like, yeah, man, we speak fluent English. Look at these people in the audience. They were laughing at American style humor. Like, like you can visit this country. We're friendly people. Like it's, to me, that's what that special was all about.
That was the biggest
more than I
you could have done.
Like Tom could be looking at his bandmates and go, "Hey, let's go play the Philippines this year."
It's massive.
It's for you.
That's the reason. Yep. Same reason I do what I do when I can. I remember when I wanted to film my first special when I moved out here and started doing stuff. It was called No Bombing in Beirut. And my manager at the time was like, no, nobody's going to be interested in seeing anything from Beirut. I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's an American. It's a comedy is good comedy. It's universal.
It's universal.
Good comedy is universal. I'm just filming it in Beirut because it's going to change. Just changing the stage changes the perspective. It's going to make it richer. You did the same thing when you filmed your special in the Philippines. It brought certain gravitas to what you're saying and everything. It made it right there.
Yeah, man.
It's exciting, you know? I mean, I still learn. I didn't know that Poland, I started streaming on Twitch, and I'm streaming this game called Cyberpunk 2077, which is made by a Polish company called CD Projekt Red.
Yeah. And stop doing your plugs during a very serious moment, buddy.
Sorry, I'm a comic. This is how we do it. But no, for real, like I'm playing their game.
My parents struggled to get to America from Beirut when they were bombing. By the way, I'm on Twitch.
Comedy at NEMR Comedy, NEMR Comedy. That's why all this is here, baby. That's why all this is here. But no, real talk.
Go to my mailing list now, and you can win this beautiful video game as we see right.
A Ninja Turtles arcade.
Ninja Turtles arcade.
And if you want to go with Joe's side, you can win a picture of Jesus.
Or you can win Jesus Christ. Like Jesus Christ himself.
No, but for real, this Polish company makes this game. I'm playing the game, so a lot of Polish people are looking for it. They come into the channel, and I felt really stupid because I said, they're all talking English. I'm like, man, you guys speak great English, even though you're Polish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we all speak English. We also drive cars. And I was like, oh no, I've become the guy.
Yeah.
I've become what I hate.
Everything you hated, and it was you.
It was me. It was me. People, you have camels in Beirut or whatever, and it's the same shit. I'm like, yeah, we just got cable TV too. Like, what the fuck? And then I did the same thing.
But isn't that dope though?
Andre, I hate to walk on you, Andre. I got to say this real quick, okay? This is why you shouldn't have walked on me when I was doing my turban story. Son of a bitch. I was leading up to get to my point about that turban story, and you stepped on it. And now look how stupid you look.
I'm an idiot. You were just talking about idiots and ignorant people. I'm an idiot. I'm just trying to make sure we establish that here, so nobody expects great things from me.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Dre. I'm sorry.
No. I was just gonna say, isn't it that discovery is dope, and I think a lot of people rob themselves of that. They rob themselves of that moment that you have of being vulnerable in that moment of not knowing, and then having that discovery. I think it's dope. I think it's dope that we learn about each other that way.
Yes, and we live during a time where it's easy.
Yeah,
like that. That's why I get mad at people that just. I'm like, are you still there? Is your mind still there? Like, where are you? Is it 84 for you?
Yeah.
Like, how are you in this mindset, bro? Like, we have the opportunity to see the world virtually now. Like, you don't need to go to Spain to see Spain. You can just type in Spain right now and learn all about Spain. And like, it's there. It's in front of you. But you're gonna still stay not knowing. Like, you're an idiot.
I mean, that's even worse because it's the internet, and you are literally shutting yourself off from every other aspect of the internet. So you're watching probably 1% of the internet. That's
like insane. What are you searching?
That's insane.
24/7. You're just looking for the next clue. Like, you're not even trying to learn. I don't know, man. I went to Dubai, NEMR, literally after what happened in Iran when we killed the general. And literally there was the threats on American tourism and all that, and don't come to Dubai. And we still went. Literally it happened 2 days before I had to go to Dubai. But the tickets were already sold. it was a big thing to say no. I was gonna, you know what I mean? Like my son was supposed to fly with me, and we ended up telling him to go back. We didn't know, but we still went. But dude, when you meet these people, you're just like, I didn't feel that threat that they were talking about on the media.
No, dude.
I was just like, what the fuck? Like I was literally in the heart of it 2 days after it. And the media had this whole other narrative that they were shoving down your throat about, be careful and blah, blah, blah. And I'm getting there and I'm like, I was shopping. I got a latte at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm hanging out with Arabs. I'm hanging out with, it's crazy, man. Like it is crazy. Like sometimes, you see stuff and on the media and it molds you in a certain way to think a certain way. And sometimes you got to see hands-on. See, you need to open up your minds and really learn and notice that there are a lot of lies out there that you're believing.
That's why I always get pissed off when people tell when I see in America. You don't see this, by the way, abroad. Not I haven't seen it, but when in America people tell American artists stay in your lane, right? I see that a lot, and I'm like, you guys have no fucking idea how hated America would be for all the bullshit it's pulled had it not been for American artists.
Absolutely.
The only reason that the world is such a friendly place to Americans everywhere is American artists have really spread the message of what being American is about. Yeah. And the American government has spread the message of what not being an American is about. Yeah. The foreign policy of America is so fucking terrible. So you're not going to go to do it. Nobody's going to attack an American citizen anywhere to retaliate against the American government. Yeah. They know that Americans don't fucking have anything to do with this shit.
Yeah.
They know it. If they didn't know the amount of atrocities that America commits on a daily fucking basis, we would be having all-out warfare every single day here. The fact that it's so peaceful, which is another weird thing. Why are Americans always so angry? I had a cousin of mine call me from Beirut to check up on me a few months ago because he was worried about me. Okay, in the height of the Trump era, and he called me from Beirut, and he's like, he's older.
Come home. Come home. Just come home.
Cucumbers are cheap.
Dude, my mom is like, I'm praying for you every day. Why don't you come back? It's here. Everything is fine. We're in the middle of a revolution in Lebanon. The economy is completely collapsed. It's insanity over there. And they're calling me from there like, it's Christmas. Come back. You don't know. It's elections. The elections in America, you don't know. Arabs knew from 3 months ago. They're like, it's not going to be good. When Trump goes, it's going to, you should come back. Wait. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. I can't believe we're here. But it was crazy. He calls me. He goes, "Why is everyone in America so angry? And they have so much. And here in Beirut, we have nothing. We just had the world's third largest explosion, the largest non-nuclear explosion, leveled the fucking country. So many people died, lives ruined, 300,000 people homeless like that. Yeah. And they're having in the middle of a pandemic that is out of control. Our economy is completely destroyed. And there isn't the division there that you see in America." And he's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
It's bizarre. And he told me, he's like, you know what America needs? And I was like, what? And he's like, they need a good war. He's like, they need a war in America so they can remember what it's like.
Hey, NEMR, I just want you to know, this conversation just got screened.
To be clear, he wasn't saying he was going to initiate the war.
He's on a room talking to General. NEMR, I fucking told you, NEMR. He's the mole. He's the fucking mole. He's trying to incite war in America.
That's how the terrorists through comedy. That's the I'm the sleeper cell. It's a comedy special. I gain their confidence, and then I'm like, we attack a dog. Let us go. The caliphate will stretch all over Massachusetts. Let's go.
Like I said, this was called Never Bomb in Beirut. Goodbye. I really mean it. Goodbye. That's great. I love it, man.
Oh my God.
I think what we're trying to say is how your brother even said, why is there so much anger and tension? Like we said in the beginning of this conversation, man, just learn.
Yeah.
Learn about stop listening. And we can agree to disagree, however it is that you take on the news, what side of the media you're on. Well, it doesn't matter what fucking side of the media you're on. You don't have to listen to everything that they say. Yeah. No matter what, whether it's this side, the right side, or the left side, it doesn't matter. No matter what they say, it's going to be negative. It's always going to be negative. That's how they sell shit. It's what can we do to get you back to watch more of this bullshit that we're shoving down your throat? So listening to it, whatever they're talking about, whatever the topic is that's on whatever channel or news outlet that you're watching, take the information and then learn about it. I swear to God, it's not going to be as bad as what they're fucking saying to you.
Go try to verify for yourself.
Verify it, man. Verify it. And you're going to learn how beautiful all these cultures are and all these religions and all these ethnicities are. And watch. You're going to learn a lot. And just have an open mind, man. Jesus. And like I was saying earlier before NEMR, jumped on me about the but what I was trying to say is with that turban, like that, they use that turban as a way of identifying Muslim radicals. That's what they shoved down our throats, and they weren't. And that's the ignorance. I had to learn it myself. Another one that I had to learn myself, because I'm
staying quiet this entire story, by the way. I'm not going to say a thing right now. I'm just
I'm speaking. What I'm trying to say, Nimmer, is because I'm from you're 83. I'm 71. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but there was a lot of shit that happened. And a lot of shit that I had to go through. Iran was another one. I went through that, bro. Yeah. I saw that as a kid. I was in those gas lines with my dad during that Iran-Contra. And by the way, they called it Iran-Contra. A fucking huge slap to the Iranian people.
Right.
Pronouncing it Iran. It's fucking disrespectful. But as a kid, I hear that. And I'll say it. Iran. It wasn't until I got into college and I started dating an Iranian chick. She told me, you're saying it fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, my mind, I'm like, well, first of all, like, I need to learn that. Thank you for teaching me that. And then the more I learned about it, like the more I learned about Iranians and Persian people and, and discovering about their food and how they are, dude. That's what it takes. Like it takes something like that for you to like learn and understand before you just take whatever it is that they shove down your throat and taking that side.
Yeah.
Like what is that? That's not even living life at that point.
Yeah.
You're not even being a person. You're a fucking robot being fed information. Like what are you doing, man? Take control of that. Anyway, that was another thing. Like I always wanted to say that, like Iran. If you're still saying Iran to this day, like
I remember that. Yeah.
Iran and Iraq.
Iran and Iraq. Iran. But to this day, the media has shoved it down your throat, and it was a sign of disrespect. It's them just. It's one thing to cover the news, but then it's another thing to push an agenda, and just that one word is their agenda.
Absolutely.
We
nailed it.
That disrespectful to a whole group of people. Yeah. Like there's Iranians that live in America that are American.
Yes.
And you to go publicly on world news and go, oh yeah, and Iran once again. Like, what are you doing to the people that live here that aren't that are paying their taxes and are being good Americans? Like, what are you doing?
And contributing in science and healthcare and mathematics.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like I'm contributing citizens. Like they're bringing forth shit. It's unreal.
And that is why there's tension and division. That's why. Because of that. And that's the kind of shit I'm trying to say. It's like, you can watch the news for whatever information that you get, but man, educate yourself. Even if it's a small word like Iran. Yeah. Because I was one of those guys. So
I think I'm sorry. I think it was important with what he said was about art. I honestly believe that art is equally, if not more, important than the actual news. In terms of getting information out.
Yes.
Yeah, man, that was cool that you said that, Nimmer. I agree with you, Dre. We are the ambassadors, right? We're the real spreaders of good. You know what I mean?
You are. No,
We're uniting through laughter. We're uniting through music. Like those are the only languages that everyone speaks. You know, you get a clown from France that doesn't speak English and he starts doing mime shit and we're all laughing at the same thing. That's a perfect example.
That's true.
I know it sounds cheesy, but it's a perfect
no, man.
That does. You know what I mean? Or
if you don't have that, you're going to get what America was getting from Iran, and from Iraq through the news, is what Iranians and Iraqis and Arabs would have been getting from America if it wasn't for Seinfeld, and Ranger, and Eddie Murphy, and Richard Pryor. Dude, Eddie Murphy in the Middle East is like a fucking icon.
Yeah.
These people carried American culture. You can't meet a Lebanese person who doesn't know Raw and Delirious.
Yeah.
They were able to you had a war. You had active war situations. When we were in America, we had to change our numbers and the FBI had to get involved because we were getting death threats because of, 1992, Operation Desert Storm, Iraq. We're not even Iraqi. People see Abu Nassar, Arab. They start calling death threats on the phone and shit. Racist fucking shit happening in the early 90s. It was very common. And, that would be all we would be getting if it wasn't at the same time we were getting programming and, watch Saturday Night Live or the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson in the 80s or whatever it may be. That is literally the only reason why America, which spends the most on its military, more than China by 4 times, its spending is insane. The military industrial complex is tempered by artists telling fucking jokes and good stories.
Yeah.
To tears in this. I don't remember who the comedian was, and it infuriated me that I didn't come up with this joke. And I'm so sorry I can't remember who it was. It's not my joke. But he said America will invade a country and then make a movie about how sad it made them that they had to kill all those innocent people in the country.
Oh, true. America can portray themselves as the martyrs. Any situation.
Every situation.
American Sniper, that movie American Sniper, he killed. He's going through so much because he had to murder a kid, but we don't talk about the kid. like, what about the kid? It's unreal. But the fact that the art is so good that people in the Middle East can watch a movie about an American sniper and sympathize with the American sniper who murdered Arab kids in Iraq. Tells you how powerful art really is. So whenever somebody says stay in your lane, I'm like, dude, if we stayed in our lane, you wouldn't be able to even talk to us, right?
We would drive into a wall if we stay in that lane, right?
Yeah. And I've said this, and people have been like, "Oh, look at you! You think you're so self." I'm not saying I'm self-righteous. I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody because I'm an artist. I'm saying artistry. You need to make sure artistry is your ambassador. It's your propaganda. You have to make sure your artists are on board with whatever propaganda you want to put forward. If your artists are like, no, I'm not feeling this, either they're right or you're right. You got to convince, but you cannot be in disarray. It's very the literal, like the check mark for where your society is heading. And all artists right now are saying Black Lives Matter. They're saying no to hatred and supremacy and racism and division. They're embracing foreign cultures. That means you got to head in that fucking direction because these people have traveled the world. They've talked to other cultures. They've interfaced with other people. You don't get to have the same mindset as these people because they were able to see what you weren't seeing on your behalf. You propped them. You literally empowered these artists to go into the world, spread the good word, and come back. And they're coming back and telling you. Yeah, it's a much better world than you have it out to be. And you're like, no, fuck you. Stay in your lane. No, you're the one that's acting right, self-righteous, and entitled. Unacceptable.
Yeah, I think about like immigrant friends of mine that say that their parents, when they came to this country, they were told certain things because it was 70s, 80s. They were told certain things about Black people, for example, and they had no other means of understanding who we were as a culture. But now, if you were to try to tell a kid who's coming from Asia or coming from Europe or wherever, try to tell them about what Black culture is, they already know. Mm-hmm. They already know through music. They already know through arts. They already know. So when they land in New York City, they already know what New York City is or what it's about. They have an idea because when they've heard that piece of art, they've already conceptualized it in their heads. Now you can't really feed that propaganda to them the same way.
No. Try convincing a European that rap is white, and they'll look at you like you're the dumbest person you've ever heard. You know, like if somebody's gonna be like, yeah, no, you know, Elvis Presley started. They'll be like, no, he fucking didn't. Like, you know, what are you talking about? No, we have music here. We know what the fuck went down. You know, Jimi Hendrix was famous in Europe before he was famous in America. Yeah. Because racism was so fucking heated over here that they didn't want to make a black man famous. But then you go to Europe and people are like, yo, this shit is great. That was it. Yeah. They're like, okay,
that's it. Yeah. In the conversation. Yeah.
And then I'll hear people who try to come in and say, like, no, you see, you know, black racist people. I've been to some places in America where they go, you know, one guy told me, he was like, you know, you're really a great person, even though you're Arab.
Yeah.
I was like,
what a compliment. Yeah.
A great compliment. And he's like, you know, the difference in this, I'm not going to, you know, this was the most racist shit I heard. He said the difference between, because I have this joke that I used to say where I was like, I'm a lighter shade of brown. And, you know, I'm just, and that thing that I told you, the reconnaissance, I used to make a joke out of that. Yeah. Because people would talk to me and say shit that was very racist because they look at my skin and they're like, and my accent and stuff. And they're like, oh, he's one of us, right? Mm-hmm. So they kind of like push you to the side. And he's like, you know, it's different. You'll see now that you're here, it's hard to connect with black people because they don't want to be a part of our culture. And I was like, listen, I'm not saying you don't have a culture. Yeah. That would be incorrect. But the culture you have was built on black people.
Yeah.
Like they literally gave you the common, black people united in their struggle against racism, but they united you in your struggle for racism.
Yeah.
That's literally why the Europeans, the Spaniards, the Poles, all of these different white races came together was because we want to still have slaves. And that was, or we don't want to have slavery. It became a central force. America's culture in great part is due to the struggle around slavery.
Right.
So, if you want to come in with your culture talk and everything like that, it literally, if they weren't here, you guys would have divided yourselves amongst yourselves. The Italians and the Spanish and the fucking Poles and the British, you guys wouldn't be talking to each other. You would have found something. They united you. They literally brought you together. I mean, you still have that to contend with. Otherwise, there is nothing. You can't go to Italy right now and tell an Italian person you're like a British person. They'll be like, get the fuck out of here. They will not even take it. There's no way. But here we have that because of that. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but this guy was convinced. And if you try to take that rhetoric and you go to Italy and you say, you know, black culture, whatever, the Italian will be like, the fuck are you talking about? I've been to America. You guys have a Denny's. It's called culture. Yeah. What the fuck is this shit? That's your culture? No. Borrow. So
I think we live in a country where we live in a country where because I never understood what it meant to be divided, right? In my head, I always felt I'm from a military background. So it's like a joke I do, NEMR, is if it wasn't for, God bless the military, because if it wasn't for the military, there wouldn't be a mixed race. Right. If any, they created this new race. You know what I mean? There's black and Thai, which is Tiger Woods. There's half white, half Filipino. That's Jo Koy. There's the military is responsible.
I totally understood the joke in a different way. I thought this is so funny. When you said, thank God for the military, there's a mixed race. I thought because they're fighting side by side, they became like a race of united. I didn't realize you meant
actually.
Different countries.
I'm talking like the ingredients started with the military. They started this whole thing, and God bless them. But I will say this: living on those military bases as a kid and going to schools on the bases and seeing these soldiers, you know how many schools I went to that were on bases and seeing like all my friends were mixed. You know what I mean? My black kid with a German mom, and then a white kid with a Korean mom, and then me. And like, it was just like this crazy world. And then my dad retired and went to Tacoma, Washington. And then I went into like, I always call it like general population. You know what I mean? I'm in general population. And I'm like, now all of a sudden there's this weird racism that I'm facing, but not
you got to pick a side.
Educated, like, what the fuck is going on? Because where I lived on the bases, we didn't know what this, we don't see what you guys are seeing right now. Like, why am I seeing this right now? And it was so weird to like trying to explain to like my son right now. It's impossible because that's all they see is mixed right now, you know, because of the internet. But like me, when I was a kid, it was like, I didn't understand it. Like I always told people, like when Tiger Woods came onto the scene, you know, did I tell you this, right? I told you this, right, Andre? When Tiger Woods came onto the scene and he's half black, half Thai. Like now that's normal. But back then when he came onto the scene,
was huge.
No one knew what to fucking do.
Yeah.
No one knew how to act. Everyone was gravitating towards him. People were pulling him by the arms. That was the struggle that Tiger had to deal with, along with his fame and along with the fact that he was only 20 and that the whole world wanted a piece of him. But there was also this cultural tug of war with him, like grabbing him. But finally, this guy's going to identify for us, to the masses. Finally, white America is going to understand that Asians can play golf. And then black people are like, whoa. You mean black people can play golf? Right. And literally, there was this inner type of, you know, Andre, you were part of that. I remember seeing that little inside battle for Tiger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's once again, we're back to ignorance again. You know what I mean? It's just like that's the struggle that we live in right now. And then that's why when someone like you go, you know, when you go up and on stage and you talk about your mom or you talk about your dad, it's like, no shit. Finally, I get to say something, and finally I get to tell my story to a bunch of people that don't know who the fuck I am. And then you're going to realize that it's all relatable. Yeah, my mom's Lebanese. Yeah, but you know what? She's a mom. Mom, your mom. And she's raising a kid in America. In San Diego, motherfuckers. Well, that's why I get offended. I get mad. You know what I mean? Because I'm sorry I had to go all the way back to like Tiger Woods, but that's what it meant to me. Like when I saw Tiger Woods burst onto the scene, dude, I wanted to cry. Like, yo, that's my dude. I still remember his commercial. You know what I mean? How he wasn't invited, like black people weren't allowed to play in certain golf clubs and stuff like that's real. Right. And unfortunately, there's people that don't understand that struggle. You know what I mean? So when I talk about my mom and I have to become the character of my mom because I want to do a good representation of my mom, what's wrong with that, right? But yet immediately, you know, and I don't want to say any names, but there were networks that were like, I don't think they'll get it. Why do you have to do the accent? Why not, motherfucker?
I heard that too.
Why can't I do the accent?
Yeah.
You know, there was a late night show that refused me to go up. I don't think they'll get it in Middle America. Well, that's crazy because I sold out 2 shows in Nashville for over 4,000 tickets. Hardly any Filipinos came to that show.
It's so weird how much you'll find Americans that actually discount their own citizens. I've met so many people that have that same rhetoric. They're not going to get it. I'm like, why do you continue to treat everyone? Yes, there is a lot of people that are stupid, but they're still the minority.
Yeah.
And if you target the majority of people who want to know, a lot of people who are filled with hatred because they wanted to know, but they went in the wrong direction. Yeah. Redirect them. It's cool.
But I think that goes back to the point of the agenda, right? So like if that network the agenda has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the machine. If they're still trying to sell ads to a certain group of people, then it doesn't fit their agenda to have you on doing that and having having their audience accept that, because now they can't sell the other agenda anymore.
But what makes me, solid point. What I was getting at too, as well, is like the reason why I went back to Tiger, because what it meant to me as a kid, it was my identity. It was my representation. I'm not Thai. I'm not black. You know what I mean? But those people were in my family. Like those were the cultures that I identified with. I knew more about black culture. I knew more about Asian culture than I did white culture. So that was my identity being represented, right? So when I had the opportunity to say my voice that I've been trying to sell for my whole life, basically,
you did it.
Why was it that I had to like bow down and be like, oh yeah, I don't think they'll get it. Like, what are you talking about?
And now people are going to say that guy's the next Joe Koy. That's what's impressive about taking that leap. What Tiger did, Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
He made more progress for race relations and cultural understanding than any initiative could have done. That's the power of artists.
Yep.
So you as an artist are given that potential. You don't have to take it. It's fine to just do dick jokes and I'm not saying you have to go out there and you have to elevate. But I have never met a crowd member who's come up to me after a show and said, I loved your show, but I learned too much. Has never been the criticism.
Never.
Like, I was hilarious and I learned, I got so much from this experience. So now that joke.
And don't forget relate. Because that's another thing. The first thing they fucking say is, and I guarantee they do it to you too, NEMR. Mm-hmm. Oh, my mom does that too. Oh, my dad did that too. It's like, no, because we're all humans. When it all comes down to it, doesn't matter about the race, the religion, the color of the fucking skin. Parents are parents, kids are kids. Bottom line. Doesn't matter where you live in the world. Bottom line. And you show people, you tell them. I've done shows where I'll talk about my parents beating me growing up, and it wasn't child abuse. It was, it was the way children. And then I make a joke where I go, they beat you, and then they tell you they do it because they love you, right? And it gets a reaction from every fucking race in the room. White, black, Asian, Europe, everybody. And after the show, people are like, they come up to you enthusiastically. My dad used to hit me with a belt too. It becomes like bonding moment between everyone. And it's so much fun. I have parents who come to the show and look at their children smiling because they know I'm going to talk about getting beaten with a belt, so that they can say, look how good I am to you, because that's how it used to be. You know what I'm saying? You can bring people together over things that you would be shocked to find out we have in common. Yeah.
The fact that your moms all over the world will tell you, I've made you your favorite food, but it's not your favorite food. It's just what's easy for them to cook. They're trying to gaslight you. That's like a universal thing that happens. And you come out with these jokes. I've always said this, you put enemies in a room together and you crack a joke and they laugh together. You've just done more to advance bringing them as one person than any initiative could have.
Yep.
Comedy is the most powerful weapon because we live in a world where the war is narrative. Literally, the war is narrative. Yep. That's why America doesn't hit civilians publicly. Like they try. They really do. But America has a policy, we're not going to hit civilians because if we do, we're going to lose the war of narrative. We could demolish an entire country, but we're going to lose the war of narrative. That's how powerful it is. Comedians are masters of narrative. Because if I want somebody to agree with me, if I say it in a joke and I get them in a certain way and I do a thing and they laugh, it's done. You've broken through the barrier. So if you as a comedian are able to do that, fucking go for it, because you're going to make the world a better place.
Yep. Yeah. And I also think there's a lot of fear involved too. There's a lot of people that held on to a particular chair. There's a hierarchy, right? Like they get to a certain group of people that they get to choose and bring in. But now they're starting to see through social media, us building the fan base that we did, talking about the topics that we get to talk about now, and showing that whatever it is that you thought people won't get, they're getting.
And it makes money.
And you're scared.
And it makes them money. That's very important. I guarantee you, people are loving Jo Koy right now because his success also generates revenue for them. So right now, that's the best way to move a society forward. Make it profitable to be progressive.
Yeah.
And, dude, everybody be like, let's go. And now it's become weird. I'll get meetings with people. They're like, it's so great. We're happy that you're here because we're looking for that perspective. The fact that you're not from middle America is the best thing you have going for you right now. I'm like, that's kind of fucked up too. I don't feel about that.
The ignorance that's out there, man. Just learn, please, you guys. I think that's what we're trying to push. That's our narrative.
Yep.
On the koi pond, NEMR. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You can stay ignorant as long as you want, but then you just become an idiot. You have the opportunity to learn and figure it out for yourself.
And you miss out. There's so much fun. You can have so much fun.
Yeah, man.
With every race. Dude, I went to Oklahoma and did what's the thing called where you put the fishing, oh my God. They had a documentary about it where you put your hand in a swamp and then
yeah. I know what you're talking about. I think everyone knows what you're talking about.
Hand fishing or something.
Hey, NEMR. Google it, you idiot.
I am. Because, what is the fucking? Oh my God!
Noodling.
Catfish noodling.
Oh yeah.
I'm smart. Actually, Aristotle put it up, but whatever.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Eric. It's very fitting that Aristotle was the one who got the information.
Exactly.
Very, very culturally powerful right now. Aristotle was like, since I have the answer for my Greek mythology. I did catfish noodling. That's a white thing. And nobody of any culture is going to think that it's
we didn't even know what you were talking about, actually.
I mean, catfish noodling is you basically go to like a swamp lagoon area. You stick your arm inside and a giant catfish will bite your arm. And then they lift it out and compete over who caught the biggest catfish. Yeah. And then whoever wins gets to marry their cousin. And I'm just kidding. Basically, up until that joke, that's what it is. Yeah. And they have like a barbecue around and they're having a great time and whatever. When I went to Oklahoma, I found out this was a thing. I'm like, let's fucking go. We drove into incredibly racist territory, but I had fun.
Yeah.
You know, it was a good time. I opened my mind up and I was like, let's go. And once they got past the fact that I was an Arab and they gave me all their opinions, when we got down to catfish noodling, I had a fucking good time. So you're missing out on so much if you're not going to open yourself up to culture. So if you're out there and you're like, oh, fuck black people, fuck white people, fuck Asian people, whatever you're doing, you're missing out on a fucking culture, dude.
Yeah.
They have to offer. What are you doing? Life is short. Go out there, explore, have fun, find out what the fuck. Maybe you're into, I don't know, some weird kind of BDSM shit. That's great white culture. You're missing out. Who knows? You never know. Go for it. 50 Shades of Grey is calling your name. You don't want to know.
I don't even know, man.
I love you, NEMR.
I love you too. Thank you for having me. This was great. Dre, thank you so much as well.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you.
Like I said, man, learn. That's our narrative. That's what I want everybody to do. After this pod, go discover. It's free now. It's Google. If you don't want to learn, then that's your problem. That's you. Yep. You chose to do that. But 100%. Life is beautiful. Life is short. And people are beautiful.
God bless.
So learn about it. I love you, NEMR. That was so much fun.
Thank you.
Love you,
guys. Love you.
You guys take care of yourselves. Stay safe.
Take care, man.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.